Cool. I've never done this in person, so bear with me. Yeah. I think first things first, welcome. Thanks for coming. To our new DI person, to Chief Campbell come in, and everybody else coming here in person, including all of you. So that's awesome. All right, we get started with, call to order and then roll call. Okay. Yep. Cool, thanks, Mary Jo.
Chair Snow,
Here.
Vice Chair Munoz,
Here.
Commissioner Del Vidio.
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Commissioner Sanders.
Yeah, haven't heard. Pending.
Yeah. Commissioner Alton Cord.
She is sick. She's not gonna be able to make
Okay,
it.
so you got a message from her, okay.
Message, she'll be 5-10 minutes late.
Cool, perfect. All right, we have like a short agenda today, so if everybody can just take a look at the agenda. Anything, anybody wants to make changes or move? Anything? None? Steven, so
Motion to accept the agenda.
we have one motion to accept, we have a second.
Yes.
Steven, perfect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, perfect. All right. All right, then items from staff members.
So our big news, we're joined by Devin Stenhouse, our new DEI officer. Very exciting. You're gonna do great things for the city, with the city.
Thank you. I am actually very excited. Good to hear.
Anything you want to share?
I wish I had something more substantial other than, it's like I said, I'm coming off of a week's vacation where it's very much needed, but for those who don't, I guess most of you don't know me, I do come from within the city. I'm transferring over from the Parks and Recreation Department, where my last position was acting manager for the Recreation Division. But prior to that, though, I was a supervisor for our classes program, supervisor for our aquatics program, coordinators for both the facility rentals and the childcare programs as well. I've served on the Health and Wellness Committee here within the city, and spearheaded a number of city events that I hope you guys have had the opportunity to attend. Concerts, Halloweens, Easters, movies, all of those. So I've spearheaded a lot within the city. The experience, I can go on, but in the interest of time, I would just like you guys to know that I am excited to be here. This is something that I was really wanting to have, and truly flattered to be working here within the city manager's office. Closer to Sharon. Myself and Sharon have worked together for a very long time. And I know that you've been in very good hands with Amy, and I'm truly committed to absorbing everything that she has to offer, and just ready to take the reins and run with it.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you, Devin.
Yeah, thank you so much, Devin.
Devin's also been attending the National League of Cities Race Equity and Leadership Institute on behalf of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, we recently got that award, right?
We won an award too
Yeah,
for Cultures
That
United.
was the Culture
Culture
United,
United,
yeah, which was presented at the NLCS conference just prior to the Real Institute convening, which Tamiko accepted.
Right.
And yeah, together we stuck around for the actual convening, which just took place that last week in March. But I was also in attendance for the initial convening, which was in November of 2022. And there was also a National Day of Healing that was also celebrated, also in DC in January. And I think within the next couple of weeks, there's going to be an online convening with the same group. I'm sorry, are you guys familiar with the Real Institute by any chance? It's part of the National League of Cities, and its primary goal is to help community leaders from around the country learn how to address social and racial inequities within their individual communities. And so, Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, we applied for a grant at some point mid to late last year, was one of 10 cities around the country that was accepted. And I believe soon, just before that initial convening, is when you were offered your current position in Oakland, of which I got a phone call asking if I was interested in stepping in for Amy. And so it's been a pleasure ever since. A great networking opportunity. It's not a lot of time. It's not often where you get to talk to local leaders from Ohio and Florida and Montana and all these different states. It's pretty eye-opening, and it makes you appreciate where you are. But it also inspires you to just do better within your community as well. So really good experience. We've got an online convening within the next couple of weeks, and there's going to be an official graduation in Atlanta, Georgia in November.
Great.
And so I think that'll be the final. So yeah, definitely a good time.
And if I may add, because seeing that, there's such events and you being involved, I think it's crucially important that we're aware, being in the Equity Commission. We should be aware about these events because we're so linked to some of the Europe front, that you're in, the work and initiatives for. So I'm looking forward to other opportunities and other awareness to help us out.
Yeah, since November, I've always found it's a little ironic. Here I am gone for days at a time at these, they call it a convening, and in a lot of ways it's a training. And so, I can take what I learn and, see how I can apply it. But again, I'm coming from the recreation field. And so my reach is, I don't want to say limited, but it's, I can only apply it to what I have my hands on. And so it really, no one entity department is perfect. And so it was an opportunity to just kind of self-reflect, at least within that department, and just ask the questions, are we really serving those communities who we're really trying to serve? Right. And so, yeah, the tough answer is no, but it's that realization that we're actually looking for. And then what can we do? So yeah, it makes perfect sense that this commission would be apprised of everything going on that end as well. So yeah, happy to keep everybody in the loop. Thank you.
And Devin and I will hopefully work together to plan the retreat coming up. How does May 6th look for people? This Saturday.
What time frame are you talking about?
Probably late morning, early afternoon.
You're saying crossing the lunch hour?
Mm-hmm.
And we're having lunch?
We'll have food.
It's a working meeting. Lunch working. 5, 6?
I don't like coming up. It's just 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah. I will not be here.
Okay.
But if we're looking at like other weekends in May, the 27th looks good.
The only thing is that's a long weekend.
Oh, that is long weekend.
Yeah.
But people will be gone then too, right?
Yeah.
Any opposing to maybe the 7th? Can we do it on a Sunday versus a Saturday? If we do it in the earlier part of the day?
Maybe.
Are people busy Sundays?
I would prefer to on a Saturday.
Saturday.
Okay. I'll email you guys. We'll figure something out. But the retreat's coming up and we'll plan together.
Cool.
Also,
And
Devin is Alan.
The month is May. That's the target month, Amy.
Mhm. Okay,
All right.
cool. And the last item from staff I wanted to share was just that the county LGBTQ commission is meeting here, in South San Francisco tomorrow.
Mhm.
I think it's at the library. So I can send that info to y'all if you're interested in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool.
What
Any other items?
Yeah.
At what time?
6:30 tomorrow at the South San Francisco Library off of Orange.
It's going to be Zoom.
There will be, I think there's going to be a Zoom capability because it is a hybrid meeting. But for the next 2 months, they'll be here in South San Francisco. The commission is like trying to get North County more involved. It's been pretty central, like Redwood City, San Mateo. So they're trying to kind of just divide it up and get more people in North County involved. I'll just bring that up. Oh, okay, thank you. Cool. Anything else from city staff members?
Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Nothing new. I missed the last meeting here, but I did get an opportunity to watch the CARES presentation, so I was just
Cool.
caught up with all of you to
Oh,
kind
thank
of be
you.
on the same page.
I know you're busy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for finding time to do that. Okay, the public comment then. Do we have any?
Nope.
Nothing emailed or anything or
No
something?
emails.
Okay. Cool. All right, so let's move on to our rest of our agenda, which I think is gonna be, we'll start it off with the approval of minutes.
Oh, wait, so we were, last time we mentioned no Zoom, right? No Zoom? That was.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, because
we can't do a hybrid meeting because we can't offer it for every board and commission. We are in here. Luckily, we have the capability. So we've been recording just so we have a record of the meeting. Yeah, but we don't have hybrid meetings right now. I think that still would need to be figured out with the Brown Act.
Mhm. Cool. All right, so approval of the minutes from March 20th, I believe. We had, Amy and Mary Jo had sent it. Mhm. Any motions to approve?
I'll motion to approve. I read them.
Thank you.
I have no qualms with that.
Cool. Second.
Second.
Yeah, there we go. So, thanks, man. All right.
Do you translate, or do you really capture all that detail?
Mary Jo
I'm
does.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Mary Jo takes really, really great notes. Yeah. Yeah. You can tell her when she.
Yeah,
Like, they should just be in the transcript. That's
It's
insane.
really great.
yeah, I've been like hearing her, just, yeah, going at it. All right, so then there's a motion to approve the minutes. There's a second by Sal, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? Abstentions? All right, approved. Cool.
Can you get to 2 seconds, Mary Jo? Awesome note taking. Just, I was just, I thought you were a transcript. Transcripts. Anyways, thank you.
Yeah, no. Cool. Cool. All right, next on the agenda then is collection of commissioner feedback on mental health crisis response models. I think Amy's going to be leading this. And again, this is going to be probably the bulk of the meeting. This is really like a working meeting today, which I think is really good. We need to kind of like nail down, all of our thoughts and ideas about all the presentations that have been presented to us, I think. And it's great that we have Chief Campbell here, so hopefully you can participate with us too. So yeah. All right, Amy.
Yeah, so we talked last time about kind of having the homework to think about all the models we've seen and bring back your feedback. We talked about it a little bit, but we have Post-its here and we have boards for each one of the expert presentations we've got. And would
I was just making sure Chief Campbell you had a packet, right? Okay, just making sure.
so maybe we can take some time and people write down on Post-its what they liked or didn't like about different models. And if you need to jog your memory, there's a memo in here too that just kind of summarized a lot of the main feedback from the past few months.
That would really help. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Not want to rely on them.
So maybe you want to do some brainstorming time and then we'll discuss stuff together.
Yeah, I think we could definitely do that. Yeah, definitely some brainstorming time. Like, feel free to like talk out loud too. It doesn't have to be quiet or anything like that. Yeah.
Kind of informal.
Yeah, definitely informal and like, just kind of like do each program. That's kind of what we're looking for. Not just like a general statement of all of them, but like really going into like each one and seeing what parts you like, what you think would be beneficial for South San Francisco and maybe some stuff that it might not be applicable to us, but maybe something we need to keep on the radar or something like that. So but yeah, we can start with that. Yeah.
So we're essentially capturing what we liked.
Yeah.
Or, you know, what you didn't like.
Yeah, like, didn't like advantages, disadvantages, things that you might need more information on.
How would that be sorted? How do you see that sorting across the board?
We were gonna
If you're
do
going-
color.
Yeah,
Do yellow is good and pink is bad, because there's probably gonna be less pink.
yeah.
Okay, very optimistic. Well,
Yeah.
how can we talk about equity for the pink pad?
Mm. Yeah.
Funny.
I think Alameda was like
Yeah.
all over the
Oh,
place.
yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of.
So did they have like a centralized system? So like all calls or requests came into a certain place and they got sent to a specific organization, or did it seem more decentralized?
Yeah, I think it was more decentralized. It really seemed like everything was like fragmented. It depended on like what city you were in and like what kind of service or what kind of response they needed to send out. It
Right.
just seemed so like all over the place. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
forgot how they triage the calls, but there's yeah,
There's like a different phone number for each one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how, I don't remember how well coordinated they were.
It didn't seem like it. And I think I remember, I think her name was Stephanie. She had said that it was like really confusing. It was even confusing for, you know, that county to even like understand what's going on there. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we can also take if we have questions that we want to get that input.
Yeah. I think so too. Some posted.
Yeah.
Getting my. Short
Yellow ones or pink ones?
I'm probably, yeah.
See, what do you have up there? My vision's not great.
Cahoots and Spark, this is the Half Moon Bay one.
Yeah,
That's-
which I really liked. I think that was pretty
Mhm.
obvious. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
This is Cahoots inspired of the follow-up triage process, the CLP standards that they got involved in. They were spoke, right? They spoke. Was that right? Were they featured? Spoke the conference, right? No,
Sorry, spoke.
weren't they featured?
What was spoke?
They group, weren't they featured at some conference event? They were featured, yes, no?
I can't remember.
It was at a CIT meeting.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the group's called, but
It was like best practice.
like some national.
Yeah. See, because the CIT training. Yeah. So that's what kind of I appreciate. And what, the lived experience.
Lived experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's a good one.
I mean, one of the things I was impressed with the Half Bay was with what little money they were offering.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
Oh,
about
yeah.
I mean, that was pretty,
That was a small budget. Yeah.
but I also understand the flip side,
Yeah, that's right.
they don't have and I'm lost when it comes to the titles, but
Oh, they don't have
They-
licensed clinicians. Yeah, they don't have clinicians.
yeah.
They just have peers.
Yeah,
I mean, that part gets interesting just because if you're gonna diagnose, if you're gonna do some kind of like 5150, you have to be certified through the county or through the city that you're working for that. And like there's a test that needs to happen. So like law enforcement does that. Doctors do it, and there's clinicians out there that can do it. But
because
that part's okay, but once you start having to like diagnose or do any
Yeah.
kind of referral,
5150.
you
Does
don't need
the
to be.
person have to be present to make that?
Yeah, yeah, it has to be a face-to-face kind of thing. You can't 5150 somebody over the phone or anything like
Okay,
that.
so you can't rely on someone on site and ask questions and then make a,
No,
okay.
by law, they have to be face-to-face.
Officers,
That's your own, Stephen. It is called CIT International.
thank you. Appreciate that. Wow, you got awesome, like. Data. Or reserve, anyway. Okay.
Well, then that's definitely a drawback because if they can't make that. If they peer support whomever that person is going out
Yeah,
on scene and it would appear a 5150 is in order, but they can't do it because the person because
Right,
it
but
sound
they-
like they could,
but they can call like either law enforcement or they can call, like other certified personnel to come and do that. So I think from what I remember him saying,
they have a
he,
partner.
he has one clinician that they have access to who can do the 5150s, and that's who he calls. But majority of the time, when you're going out, just responding is important. And if that
Right.
person's really good at like CIT, some kind of crisis intervention, then majority of the time you don't have to like put anybody on a hold. And I think if we looked at the data that Chief Campbell
Captain
from
Plank.
Stanford and Captain Plank had given us, like a lot of those weren't really 5150s. There was a lot of
Right.
response, but like it wasn't like an overwhelming amount of 5150s
Right, and
to be written.
yeah, if I may, that's where I see, if you have anything a little ahead, all of them lend some value. Absolutely. Seeing, or like, it's sort of like a life cycle or the evolution of where we're at to where we're going to be. And
Yeah,
I see Half Moon Bay as like the startup, or the start, after the pilot, that startup, initiation phase. And as we learn and develop, perhaps it's then the Berkeley kind of version. And then as we, learn and develop, perhaps then the Alameda County version, because then we start ecosystem thinking, right?
Yeah.
But and then we get San Francisco is well deep French. It's like your mature enterprise kind of thing that we wouldn't get to. We're not even close to being there.
yeah,
My thought, just get in, move,
right.
everything. And not everyone's going to be a 5150 situation.
Yeah.
I think from granular to big macro, I think there's still value.
Yeah, I mean,
Can we document these takeaways?
yeah.
So what was with the 5150s?
So the thing with 5150s is you have to have somebody who's certified to do that, right? And that certification, for that person to be certified, they also need to be insured through either the county or the city, because if that goes to court and gets argued, or there's a lawsuit that comes of that individual needs to be protected by like whoever they're representing. So in this case, Mika's protected, I think, because she's Sierra Vista and police. I'm not sure who would, hopefully nothing comes of it or anything like that, if there's ever some kind of lawsuit, but she would be covered. But I'm
So
kind of
is that a pro or con from Half Moon Bay? Or is it just different?
I mean, yeah, it's just different. I think with Half Moon Bay, definitely a pro there is they respond, because that's hard to do already as it is, right? Like they have people who could respond quickly. And I think their response time was like, what is it, 6 minutes or something like that?
24, they have the actually the best coverage, right? Don't they have
Yeah.
daily?
Yeah, it seems like they have a lot of coverage. So, for them to be able to respond quickly like that and not, and I don't, who calls? It's true. It's true, but that's still a fast response time. I mean, you think about
Yeah, because Half Moon Bay is.
getting,
Yeah, I'm sure the dance like spread out and then they're like, they're like off one. There's like, it's very populated right there. It's like, that's where like,
majority of the people.
yeah, like, they're right there.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the big takeaway is that they do respond, and they respond quite a bit. I remember their numbers, they respond a lot, which is good. And that, the more you have, I don't know, like lay people responding, that's, yeah, civilians, then, you know, law enforcement really could focus on criminal activity versus like when it's something that's behavioral health that needs
Yeah.
some kind of crisis intervention.
And I know that's one of the key questions is should the person or persons, if it happens to be a 2-person team, should I think the word is co-respond with PD. I don't want to be biased, but I just can use Half Moon Bay again as an example. And like you said, they respond and I guess, and I think it's pretty much across the board. They will respond to incidents that are there's no what's that triage that trifecta is like, there's no crime and there was like this thing that had to fit in this this mold before they would go out. Otherwise, then PD would co-respond or be first on site to make sure the safe, the scene is safe.
Right, or
the
emergency response,
Weapons, crime. Are there weapons involved? Is there
Weapons.
crime?
history of violence.
And there might have been one other thing, and they responded to
Criminal-
none of that.
And medical, and if there's like some kind of medical thing that's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
it's-
That was
it's-
a third.
Yeah, it's those that need to, they shouldn't, they could like still respond. Just in case, you know, like let's say that individual is having a behavioral health crisis, there is something medically going on, but you also have like the family unit that's there. And that's the thing I think we need to think about with South San Francisco is, you know, it's not like individuals all just living here, like there's lots of families here and like, right? Like, so I think it's good, even if they do respond or they're not the main person who's leading that response, like if it's police or if it's medical, that at least they're there to even just help with calming the family down, helping the family figure out what's the next steps for them or like, you know, what needs to happen for them.
Yeah, I agree. That reminder of what we can do early to reinforce the point of community, right?
Yeah,
And sure, we understand escalated in parts of it as we get that. But,
Yeah.
you know, and I think you mentioned majority or varying statistics, only a certain percentage get to that escalated.
yeah.
So we can show humanity in that community. It's the long place.
Yeah, and like if they're already there, then and we're already helping them at the like during the crisis, then that also helps on like the back end where we don't have to have like law enforcement or Mika do the follow-up because the community already did the follow-up. We already did the handoff. We did it like before the crisis even ended, before we even left the family, right? Like that already happened versus having to like go back, figure out, okay, what happened? All right, let me follow up. Like it just helps with like keeping things streamlined and making our time more efficient.
What's the takeaways?
Of that, definitely responding, them being able to like provide like immediate support to the family.
Civilian responders?
Civilian responders, right? Like still being able to support family. If they do that, I don't think they.
Civilian,
still
as in
go?
like peer support, like when you say civilian responders.
Yeah,
like
peer,
Peer
yeah.
support.
basically like everybody
that's
else
what
who is
they-
not law
That's what I
enforcement
think
or
they call the
That's what they
medics.
call them.
Yeah.
And Half Moon Bay, the peer support.
Okay.
You
So
know,
peer-
I'm glad to finish.
So peer support staff are good to take care of the family. Leaving the, okay.
Yeah.
In a way, are they still around? Does this it kind of almost reminds me now, they were more gang prevention focused, but it's Guardian Angels. Is it old school? They're still around, you know, Guardian Angels.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Where the berets.
Yeah, the parade.
I know.
Are they operation?
That's like the 70s.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how. I'm not a kid. I don't know how effective it was, but it's.
I think I learned that in history class.
Yeah, they do.
I think I did, yeah.
You learned about that in history?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow. Okay. Dating.
San Francisco has street violence intervention program, if that's what you're thinking about. That's what they have now.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
warrior now.
Yeah, that's the original. So like anytime that there's like a shooting or homicide or stabbing, any kind of violence happening on the street, they go out and, try to like engage with the community, engage with the family, engage with the victims, Yeah. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah, somewhat. Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
So what are your thoughts, Arnell, about police co-response?
I'm. Okay. I don't think police should, co-respond. I don't think co-respond. They should not.
Every time?
Yeah, no, that's just too much of a strain. Because I see, in my position, I get summaries of calls of services and depending on the agencies, there are quite a few calls and and it literally pulls them. It really thins them out. And I just think if we can have a team, and I like the idea of a 2-person team because I am concerned about the safety of someone going out on their own. I don't care if it's day or night because it doesn't matter. And I know I'll use domestic violence as an example. That can go sideways and it don't matter if it's 8 a.m. or 8 o'clock at night. So I am a proponent of a 2-person team, at least a 2-person team. And then again, using that criteria that they would only go if it met this criteria. And then of course, I understand it could change. And that's where there has to be some, I say, direct communication with the local, with South City PD, so that they can have someone on site within, minutes. But yeah, I guess that's a long-winded answer. I would rather just not have police co-respond every time.
Only when they're needed.
Only when needed. Yeah.
Is it too premature to ask about what you think about that?
So I personally like the CARES program, the way that was designed. And it's almost kind of like how it is now with Mika, minus the police response, because she responds by herself. She has a police radio. I know that the program, the CARES program, they go to the deputies at the start of shift, they get their police radios. So they have direct access, direct link if they need help, right?
Yeah.
And they just need to be trained, when to assess the situation. Okay, this might get a little hairy, let's back off and let's have the police respond. But there's a lot of need for just the clinicians, and the follow-up is huge for us. And you could have an individual that's sitting on the sidewalk in front of a liquor store that's appears to be in need of assistance, and do you really need a police officer to respond to that? No.
Yeah.
But if they go and initiate contact and say, how you doing? Here's all these alternatives and ways to get help. And then if the person pulls out a knife or something, then that's raising to the next level.
Right.
Yeah. At the front of things, there's a number of calls, even like school calls, right? With the mental health stuff at schools.
Yeah.
Not doesn't have to go. Right now, we're the only ones that have the authority to 5150 somebody if Mika's not available, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I would think the 2 of them, well, I think if they work under the umbrella of a clinician, then they're allowed to do it. But for the most part, it's voluntary. But they could transport a juvenile on a voluntary basis to a mental health facility. If they refuse to go and that this person is in need of help and they need to go, then that raises it up to the next level. But that would probably seldom happen in a teenager's type environment at a school.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something that's I heard you say you're the only ones that get 5150 right now. Are you saying there's other options that we haven't explored yet?
So right now by law, only police officers that have received the training and certified clinicians, doctors are allowed to commit somebody to be evaluated.
Because momentarily when you thought I went to this.
It's kind of odd, even like the fire department, paramedics, they can't do it.
That's what I was thinking. Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of backwards a little bit. But I did definitely, for safety purposes, that it would have to be a dual response to clinicians together to watch each other's back and make they're safe. And then we'll just come down to financial. What is the financial implications? What coverage is the best coverage to have throughout the city? Obviously, these types of things happen 24/7.
Yeah.
But South is definitely not the same scale as Oakland or San Francisco or San Jose. It's a much smaller scale where we could have an entire day go by with no mental health, commitment to it. that, so.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
The non-clinicians can't 5150, we good on?
Yeah,
How would you word that?
yeah, well, I would rather just say people who are certified, like only like certified individuals who are 51. Certified 5150 certified people are the only ones who can do 5150s, which includes law
Police
enforcement,
officers, yeah.
yeah, peace officers and doctors.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Haven't they had an option for community members to reach out directly to that team? We don't currently have that capacity, do we, where someone could
Call Mika.
go directly and ask for?
so right now, there's nine, most of our calls are gonna do 911, then there's the new 980 suicide prevention.
Mhm.
But once you start saying those words and if the person on the other line thinks you could danger to yourself or others, they're gonna call 911 to have
Right.
to respond.
Okay,
And then obviously, if someone is experiencing a mental health crisis and our crisis is not available,
Mhm.
I don't want them to like call, leave a message.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, as of right now, there's just those two numbers and our clinician, Mika, I think they were instructed not to give out their phone numbers because,
Probably safety.
yeah, and it creates that relationship with that person.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Which they were kind of trying to stay away from, even like follow-up visits with our clinician program right now is like, they do like 2 maximum follow-up visits and provide the resources, but they don't want to create a
Caseload.
like a caseload. Exactly.
Yeah.
how does that look like when Mika connects someone to social services? Is that just giving them a phone number or telling them where to go? Or
It's a personable handoff, you meet with them. Our community outreach team, which 2 officers does that a lot. They're in direct contact with individuals on the street that are having mental health crisis, trying to find long-term solutions for them. And it could be 2-3 hours to walk them through the process, get them
Mhm.
all the resources that we can that are available, and just talk them through it.
right, but they'd have to go to the YMCA building themselves or something like that, right?
We provide service to get them to where they need to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Half Moon Bay had like a van, like where they could drive them. Yeah.
We even have a program where if someone, like, let's say there's a homeless shelter in East Palo Alto has a bed available. If we didn't have someone available to drive them, like you could pay for an Uber and have them brought there.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you get those things on board?
Okay, yeah.
Actually, do special arrangement with the likes of rideshare. There's that.
We don't because it's not often enough,
Yeah.
but we would just pay for it and just reimburse.
Can I ask what you meant where you said Half Moon Bay is like a good? Half Moon Bay is a
I
good.
recommend using a different. Sorry, that's funny. Okay, I'm one more time.
You were saying you feel like Half Moon Bay is the start and eventually move something to more like Berkeley or Alameda County. What are your thoughts about each one? What made you?
I was saying because of the simplicity, the complexity of the system. I'm just saying, I mean, do we want to go all out, like, or drop a Google bucks and just go out to the likes of San Francisco scale? I don't think we're in a capacity to, and not only is reasonable. to-
Yeah, we don't know.
Right,
San
yeah,
Francisco is like,
like a whole different realm.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm just thinking from a pragmatic sense, like anything you're gonna launch new, right? Any operational thing, you start with simple wins, what's crucial, what's minimally most important, most valuable, focus on that, get some learnings, get some traction, then build upon that.
Mhm.
I think that's it helps us get easy wins, help us really focus on what's most important. And we can just budget accordingly and we just build upon that.
Yeah.
So, so my thought is, in very rough sense, I mean, these are almost snapshots of a life cycle. Saying Half Moon Bay is sort of like your startup kind of phase. Berkeley could be your growth phase. And then maybe Alameda, San Francisco, kind of.
Yeah. You're scaling. You're far
Mhm.
end of that scale. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of looking at it in a quick kind of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a note. I added a general.
Oh, general, oh.
But one other piece for the CARES program that I recalled is the fact that they're not certified clinicians, that means they don't have access to the individual's health history violation. So
Yeah,
the history is always really important to understand their psyche, like what they've gone through, what medications they're
Right.
taking, and they don't have access to that at all.
yeah,
So you want to have someone that had a link to the health system.
Yeah.
In order to do that, they have to certify.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the importance of the clinicians, is that they can look up like behavioral health history, they can look up hospital admissions, like they could look up like the psychiatric admissions as well. Yeah, that's the same thing in San Francisco. PD calls us all the time for like, like, mental health history on an individual. And vice versa, just because I think we can see jail records, but we can't see like anything else beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, just to also reinforce, we're talking like specifically full responders, debating that kind of level. But I know you emphasize it more than once. Alan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. The point about the network of resources, the ecosystem of resources, right?
Yeah.
Even though we might start small scale or might not have a so whatever the budget is, we can tap into and leverage resources.
Mhm.
Besides, we have people coming in out jurisdictions. I think that's organically too.
Yeah. Well, is that up there or should I add that?
Oh,
If you could add that.
I'm gonna put it under general, maybe, document ecosystem of resources.
Mhm.
you bring up another really good point.
We don't have that, right? Like, do we have a list of like mental health clinics in South San Francisco?
Mika has sheets, like resource sheets,
Okay.
probably like 7 or 8 or so. Yeah.
Do you recall if any of them had 24/7 coverage with an actual person or persons?
We do, San Francisco.
San Francisco, probably Alameda.
No, I think only one of their things was
Berkeley.
24/7.
Berkeley had 20.
Special care unit.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
I was thinking here, we might need it more on the weekend because we're more of a working town. So like people are taking extra shifts now, or like do jobs. But then
Yeah.
a lot of people are off like on the evenings and the weekends.
What were the stats around that?
That there,
That's what just popped.
there was calls, like I remember when they had presented, like there was a need for like a clinician or some kind of mental health response. Those times, it wasn't a lot, but it was still needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think 24/7 in person, but I like the idea of, I don't remember which program I had. I think also there was that the phone, there was someone available by phone other than a 911.
No, that was us.
Oh, that's
That's us.
Oh,
San
okay.
Francisco, yeah. Yeah, we're 24/7. You
I
can call
think
us anytime.
I think you're mentioning Berkeley's at night is one patrol officer paired up with a clinician at
Mhm.
night
Mhm.
in the evening.
Oh.
It's who and who?
Berkeley, it's 2 clinicians. They always go out in 2s. And they're paired up with the sheriffs.
Go out deputies.
You were saying,
Mhm.
it's
At
not
night.
at night in Berkeley?
I think it says here, mental health staff and police department on patrol go out at night
Mhm.
together. Or like in the evening. I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh, so they're beyond a phone line.
Mhm.
Okay. So phone line is, was the phone line Berkeley?
The phone line is us, is crisis. I mean, you can call San Francisco 24/7, anytime, doesn't matter. And we triage the calls. So even if it's not something that we would go out on, we would still triage the calls. If it's not appropriate for us, then we automatically either call PD or we automatically call EMS or for medic. Yeah.
I know you've mentioned the phone liner now, so I think that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
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 I wonder if there's a way to do that with like South San Francisco where like maybe, like if we do have more of a unit of like mental health clinicians, whether it's like 2 or 3, there's a line directly for that. If it doesn't answer, it automatically gets connected to dispatch. Yeah, just so that like, yeah, there's that call and then, so you're not flooding, 911 with behavioral calls. Yeah.
What's another one? Is it 988?
988, yeah. Yeah, if you call 988, it connects you to suicide prevention. And then suicide prevention has a list of phone numbers that they could call that's within that county. So I think for South San Francisco, they would be calling you guys directly. But yeah.
I'll post it.
Yeah.
What Chief Campbell already kind of alluded to this. So I don't know if 2 is even enough because a 2-person team. But I think it's not enough. But then I also think for the financial impact of it, I don't think we can go beyond a 2-person team, at least initially. So I'm just curious. What kind of coverage could we get with a 2-person team? Are they working 410s? And how would we?
Yeah. I mean, you would really only probably need 1 team per shift. And if they were going to do the hours, like Mika's hours is 9 to 5, and then doing in like, is that 8 hours? Yeah, I think that's 8 hours.
With the 9 with the 1 hour
Yeah.
break. Yeah.
And then maybe doing like a 1 to 9 for another team. I mean, it really depends.
Team, so that's 4 persons, that 2 and 2, right?
That's at least 4. And then maybe what they could do is, because I don't know if you guys have this, but does South San Francisco have like on-call staff, like as needed staff? Because then it can get bumped now over, like besides 9 p.m., go to an on-call system. So then when there is a crisis or if there is a behavioral health call, they would just call those people in versus it being an actual shift, because there's not much that happens at night. I mean, not enough maybe to
that
justify a full salary.
would
Like
still
that.
be compensated you for being on call.
Yeah, but it would be like a percentage. And then as soon as they start, like as soon as they respond, they could get paid like hourly.
Are we getting a little too granular for that?
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm not sure we've landed on what we're going to actually deliver, right? The actual service and what it looks like and what it entails. And then from there, what type of experience we're looking for with, in engaging with the citizens. And then from there, we can understand the activity of the work to determine the workload and support around that and get to that point. I'm not saying that's not important, but I don't think we're quite there to figure out what's the right level, because I don't even know the service that we're delivering. I mean, we do, but I mean,
the base is the Half Moon Base model. That's the base. That's the start, at least.
okay, so.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's the question, right?
That's no, because I heard you say that earlier. Like that's the baseline, and then that's just to start. Like I feel like we're so behind that it's kind of embarrassing, like compared to other cities in the county, and like just that service, the people deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the police department deserve it. So do the people that are going through whatever is happening. There's a lot of stuff that happens out there.
What was interesting to me is they already had a footprint in the community, right? It was profit to begin with, and they took on the program, but they already had the training for alcohol addiction, for drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
All the resources are already there. And they just had the clinicians or work out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we have a strong enough South City nonprofit group that already has all those resources built into it that could be a part of it, but.
You feel like Curtis would have that or?
Finding opportunities and all that kind of stuff to help people like the Harrisburg.
Do you think service
Edgewood
is there or not yet?
They're trying. Their biggest challenge is actually find, there's not a large pool. And I mean, like
Yeah,
you said,
yeah.
Alameda, San Francisco, everyone's trying
Mhm.
to get the best people they can get. It's just not happening.
Yeah,
Just because there's so many other opportunities out there for everybody. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna pay, top pay and benefits and all that kind of stuff, they're gonna go someplace else.
yeah.
I know the program's expanding, the school program
Mhm.
at San Francisco. I don't know. If we're gonna start taking in more students, interns. Just saying, just FYI.
That's cool. So given the challenge of finding clinicians and the cost, I don't think South City can hire like 4 people.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you guys like, what if you had like a clinician and then more of like the person with lived experience, like
Mhm.
peer support?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as they get like some kind of training, I mean, I'm assuming that we already have trainings happening, right, with South San Francisco or even in the county, like there's probably a county training that they could be sent to.
Mhm.
So if the training's already there, then all we really need are just like the people. I don't want to call them bodies, but yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like one clinician and then like the health worker or somebody who has some kind of like background in public health or in health in general or addiction or mental health.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's closely resembling Half Moon Bay, 2 persons. Now,
yeah,
they're housed separately because as Chief Campbell pointed out, they're joined to the hip with that nonprofit. We have Mika in-house. I remember walking by her desk when we had
Yeah.
that little tour.
Mhm.
What do you like? Do you like that? What do you like about it and what don't you like about it?
I know she likes it, we like it, the communication is there, and he knows what happened prior to her shift and after, so just like a police officer goes and gets briefing of what happened.
Yeah.
So we can keep her in direct loop of like what individuals that we're dealing with, that who may need assistance, and officers would just be like, oh, can you go call this guy or check on this
Yeah.
person or whatever, so.
Yeah.
It was the relationship building is there, and it just creates more of a, that bond. and-
Bond, yeah.
and the understanding of what's going on.
Yeah,
Okay. Because I know it's one of the things that it was raised was where could they be? So
Yeah.
it sounds like having them in-house is beneficial more ways than one, because you got the camaraderie that they're building, the rapport,
Mhm.
but we also don't pay a lease for them to be somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's probably nowhere to, like, where would you
Right.
put them,
That's where
right? Yeah,
they have the, I forgot, freedom. Yeah. They have that built in already, so they just absorb them. Or you just stay with us,
yeah,
but we don't have that luxury.
yeah. I think that's, no, I don't know. I think it just might be like a personal preference of mine, but
And in
Oh.
the city, where are they at? Where's,
we're in our own building.
you're on your own
Yeah.
building?
All of us, like, we're in our own building. First we were child crisis, and then it was mobile crisis that came and joined our building. And now we're all just in one big building together.
Okay.
Yeah, which is, I mean, good, but that's because we have like
You're,
40 staff.
Yeah, you're-
Yeah, we're huge. But if it's just like Mika and then somebody else, or just 2 clinicians, then it makes sense for them to be housed in the police department.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
Yeah,
Big picture wise is kind of like how the Half Moon Bay Cares program started. It was the city of Half Moon Bay, right?
Mhm.
And then they expanded to all the coast, with kind of to
Yeah.
Mhm.
like Pacifica. So that's how I kind of envision, like, because I know I'm not needed 24/7 in South San Francisco, but if we had 8, like,
Yeah.
that were just moving around, and we could do like a substation for them, but
Mhm.
they work through like Star Vista, and if there's a call, they go there. If there's a call here, they come
Yeah.
here. So it's a joint effort between all the cities. And then obviously it's more cost effective if we all can join
Right.
and get on the same page.
Yes.
But
yeah,
that would take a lot of, there's so many stakeholders involved. Just gotta figure it
Right.
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good takeaway. I
Yeah,
think if you want to get these like multi-person teams or multiple teams, you have to,
join one that's already happening, yeah.
or just share the cost with other cities.
Mhm. Yeah. She could go like roving all day, really, right? Like in the field all day and, yeah,
Offset costs by doing that, maximize, and she could
Mhm.
have full-time work, I mean,
yeah,
24/7, I'm not saying.
And if you have a pool of like 12, they're all of them with Simpson County, then someone's on vacation, someone's sick,
Mhm.
they could just
Swap in.
swap in.
Well, cover. Um, I don't like that. Mika is contracted through Star Vista. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Because
Because Star Vista is a nonprofit. One, she's not getting paid enough because I think she gets paid by Star Vista. Two, the supervision is split. It's split between Captain, right? Captain Plank. And then her supervisor at Star Vista, who's totally removed from like the day to day and just knowing crisis. It's important to know what's happening day to day. And she really needs like a mental health. I mean, this is just my preference of being in the field. We really need a mental health supervisor on site. That's important because a lot of those cases sometimes you have to talk about it. You need to consult with, somebody who's maybe been in the field for a while. And there's just so many limitations to that, I think, as far as like information sharing, like, she has to get consents from Star Vista. I don't know if she has to get consents through South San Francisco, probably not. Yeah, it makes things really murky, but also the big takeaway from that is she's not getting paid enough. And when you're doing this work, like you're going in, you're seeing people at their worst and in dangerous situations. Like she doesn't even get hazard pay, right? And I think law enforcement does get hazard pay. But that's what's going to be hard is when we're already having a hard time finding people to fill these positions and offering them nonprofit wages for this hard work. You're not going to find anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So in my mind then, I see Mika and a peer support going out in an unmarked vehicle roving. And then we have a third person, an actual clinician supervisor that those two, so that Mika can confer with, because she's not going to obviously confer with them peer support because they don't have the experience or knowledge or training. So we're looking at 3 people then.
Kind of.
Okay.
I think, best case scenario, yeah, I think so. Because when you make decisions, you could make decisions with 2 people, but there are sometimes you need somebody who's going to split that decision, which I'm assuming Captain Plank does quite a bit, or is like that second voice for Mika if she needs to consult with somebody.
So the point of the second voice, what's the chief voice? Has a chief voice?
So the MOU is pretty specific. So if there's no crime involved, then it's Mika's decision. Like she makes the call.
Yeah.
If there is a crime involved, then the police have the overall say, and that's what happened to the individual. So
Yeah.
it's pretty defined.
Okay.
So for her, had she expressed concerns about not being able to bounce off? Similar to what?
No, I mean, I think she has coworkers. There's 4 clinicians in the,
Mhm.
so I think they bounce off each other. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just a problem always.
So is there a way we can preserve that kind of dynamic when she's on?
I mean,
Lights of her is on and still maintain that network of peers?
I'm assuming so, but I do know that all 4 of them are contracted through Star Vista. So, yeah, I just have like feelings about that.
It sounds like service is even trying to expand to 4 more cities
Yeah,
in the county.
yeah.
What was
I
that?
don't know if that means anything.
What was that?
They're expanding.
They're trying to expand it like to add more
Star Vista?
clinicians. Like the county,
The county.
county is contracting Star Vista So they're using, because Star Vista has the staff, they have the bodies already, they're already trained. So it's easier just to contract Star Vista, and it's cost effective because it doesn't cost as much as a
Yeah, because you don't.
city employer
benefit.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't
The
have
whole-
benefits.
Whole payroll.
Right. And that's like, I mean, again, that's like a big issue. This is a really big job. It takes a toll seeing people at their worst. You know, there's a reason why they need to get paid what they need to get paid. There's a reason why they need benefits, just to even have like benefits to have their own therapy so that they can go and unload somewhere.
Would it be feasible to think that we could have, I'm just being presumptuous, like Mika as a city employee, along with a second person as the peer support, and then I doubt the city would flip the salaries and benefits for a third person, especially at a supervisory level, but then have some sort of contract between our staff, Mika, and that second person with Star Vista or whomever, because I don't think the city's going to flip the dollars for 3 people, especially for a third one who's a supervisor.
Well, if because Star Vista already has peers. Star Vista has peers, Edgewood has peers, Seneca has peers.
Oh, see?
Yeah, they like, there's all these other agencies out there. Edgewood is in South San Francisco. They're just like right off of, I think, Spruce. They have a clinic down there. Seneca is like all over the country, but we could use their peers, but as long as our like licensed people are county employees, then that helps with accessing information. That helps with like making sure that they're protected and like, again, like lawsuits, right? Because now the city or the county would be able to protect that individual, right? So you would still have the support, but it would still kind of be cost effective, but at least making the clinician city staff.
Yeah, because we talk about salaries, trying to attract people because they're not going to get it, the nonprofit.
Right.
So then the idea then is, or the thought is, as a city, we can offer a little more and entice someone to come and become a city employee.
Mhm.
And then we can then use existing resources for peer support that would go, and we would just outsource that as well as the supervisor. But at least in this case, we'll just say Mika would actually be an FTE, a full-time employee of South City.
Of South City, yeah.
And in that way we can. I hear that's across. I heard that everyone said it. No one can hire.
No one can
No one can
hire.
hire.
Yeah.
So just the program probably delayed 8 months because that's how long it took to find 4 qualified clinicians. And of those 4, I think one was already left for another bigger opportunity. So, and now it's been like 3 months. They're still trying to find.
Yeah, and because of that challenge, because of that challenge, this is me. I don't want to get so caught up with that license thing. It's we keep looking at it's like, oh, I think we need to focus on easy wins, right? And hopefully we can figure out some, and if we can build a case with easy wins, then we would have get better support, in my opinion. And I think I know pay is important, but it's also beyond pay. I mean, what is it about the total rewards experience? It's just pay plus whatever benefits. Maybe they have unlimited banh mi sandwiches or something. You know what I mean? Right? There's more than just pay. Pay is important, I get, but maybe is there something else we can creatively weave in with these housing developments coming up to offset that, right? There's a lot of things I think we can creatively spin that makes it a unique attraction of South City compared to others that may simply focus just on pay. Just a commentary. So I just want to put that in mind.
Mhm.
So I'm hearing we like 2-person teams, we like a peer support, possibly from Star Vista or somewhere else.
Or even like cares, like wherever they get their people from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they need like staff,
I
they
think they're
need more
in-house.
hours or something like.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. I'm sure that we can like think of something creative. We just have to get to a table together and talk.
And my memory is not the best. The person who presented, do you remember the fellow's name?
Jeff
Jeff.
for Half Moon Bay.
Now, he's all for sharing his thoughts and experiences on how they got it all up and running. I'd like to have a much more in-depth conversation with him and kind of get in the weeds with him. And because he was even willing to talk about money,
Yeah, the budget.
the budget,
Yeah.
which he understands is, as we know, is without the budget, this is all
Yeah,
for naught. This is just spinning, literally spinning our chairs.
yeah,
I would like to have him back so that we can have a in-depth conversation about his program. And he was very nice
Yeah.
as far as offering his help to actually help us get up and running.
yeah.
And that's what I took from his talk, that he's willing to, roll up his sleeves and
Yeah,
get in
yeah.
with us.
Yeah, that was definitely the.
He was very
theme of
passionate,
conversation.
which is really something I really liked about him. Right?
And but do you remember the numbers of their budget?
It might be in the minutes.
We started with, you mean in the opening when it first started?
Yeah,
It was really.
I, right,
75,000.
yeah. So just as,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that is.
So just to like even think about this, like, that's the budget for the program that we're in right now.
Right.
Right.
So we have money,
Well, this is from the county and that goes away.
right?
Yeah.
County and
Next
city,
July. Yeah,
right?
Actually, that's a great point. When does it effectively end?
I think end of the fiscal year 23-24, so
Yeah.
like June.
June.
Mhm.
And there's no, like it's going away for sure. There's no talk about extending it.
I think they're.
So they
doing
just,
this,
it's
yeah.
supposed to end in December, and then they extended it to June 30th of 2024. And like you mentioned, they're expanding it. Essentially, County Board of Supervisors pushing it to other cities now. So I don't know what they have up their sleeves or what their overall plan is, but once
Yeah.
like San Bruno, Pacifica, all the smaller cities start experimenting, maybe they do have some kind of grant plan.
Yeah,
Making it a countywide resource. We have North County, Central, South County teams that just mobile and are available to all, right?
yeah.
Are there any other grant programs that state grants, federal grants that could fund something like this? I mean,
Yeah, like the California Mental Health Association, sometimes they give out grants.
Yeah.
That might work. But again, that's still granted. I feel like that's still putting a Band-Aid on something that we want, something permanent. We can make this like a line item in the budget, whether it's
Yeah.
county or city. Like, then that would be great. But I'm assuming that the county would create, like, try to figure out how to support a permanent thing.
It's, I look at like other, the city pays into a bunch of different for resources to light news, service, there's vehicle theft task, narcotics task. In each city, it's a countywide asset, but people are, each city wants to pay it. So it could be like a JPA, like the same similar model where this is how much it costs each city based on your population or
Yeah,
size and all that kind of stuff.
you said JPL?
JPA,
JPA.
yeah, just the joint powers agreement,
Oh, okay.
cities.
yeah, like one thing about Alameda was it was decentralized, but I wonder if it was more efficient that all the cities in Alameda shared those resources.
Mhm.
So it's something to think about for San Mateo County, yes.
Yeah.
You put that up there.
Put something like
Make sure everything's documented.
Yeah.
I agree with your point.
Oh, yeah.
Meeting with Jeffrey
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
for the budget.
Like that.
Thanks, Val.
Does anyone else want to share post-its they've put up that we haven't chatted about yet?
I've had a few, just in general, that doesn't get into the weeds, but I think are like some overall points to consider. Just like, so I guess this conversation is about like what do we want out of this program and what are we gonna recommend to City Council? And I think we should try to center our discussion, recommendations, thoughts, whatever, on what goals we're trying to achieve. So, one example is just the theory of change at the Gardner Center. I know that's kind of academic, but the overall goal is increasing public safety, things like decreasing arrests or use of force and stuff like that. And I also think when we can, and I know it's very early in the program, we should consider the evidence that we have in seeing what parts of our program are effective, and seeing maybe if there's opportunities in our recommendations for the next couple of years or whatever, if there's opportunities to evaluate certain design features of the program. So one example I thought of was you could do something like a randomization of like whether a police officer co-responds with Mika, and that is something that the Gardner Center could evaluate. That's like me being a public policy person talking, but I think whenever we can, we should try to see where the evidence says, but also recognize that there's a lot of places where we can't, and we have to think on other goals than effectiveness in designing those parts of what we want.
Agreed.
That's great. I think that should be a slide on the slide deck. And say, we want to see the evaluation from Gardner Center. Is it even effective with the intended goals?
It'll help prioritize and
Mhm.
help us focus.
Cool. Other ones to share?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Good, no.
Just one more thing I had was, I wonder if the Gardner Center can look at, this is a concept of high utilizers that police officers will maybe respond to an incident with one person several times a month or something like that. And I just wonder whether we see a lot of high utilizers in our, in the data. And that I don't know what we could do with that, but I mean, that's just something that maybe that says that, oh, we need to do a better job of connecting these people with social services.
Didn't like Alameda have a familiar faces team?
Alameda, and then San Francisco has the HUMS list. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have something like that you know of?
We work with the homeless outreach team, which is a group of nonprofits that our community outreach officers work hand in hand with,
Mhm.
and they're doing a lot of the not reactive but proactive. They're walking around, they're going to the homeless encampments and trying to offer services, get individuals long-term solutions.
Yeah.
Right now, we deal with a lot of the RVs now,
Oh, yeah.
not as bad as some other cities, but there's like about a dozen that just keep moving around. Businesses get upset because it's interfering with their customers, and
Yeah.
then they'll end up in a residential neighborhood, and then people get concerned because there's by a school or something like that. It's constantly trying to offer services, and it's been successful because they keep contacting the same individuals, and eventually they give in. But
Yeah.
there's a handful that just absolutely refuse all services, and you're just not going to win with them. So
Yeah.
And to your comment and to your emphasis, when to propose, next year, right? We're planning to propose, when were we planning to propose?
So for process, I think let's take all this feedback and work on Crystal's presentation for council, and then kind of direct staff to look at these alternatives in a little bit more detail. And we can do like some projections, like here with some of the numbers. And then, actually what's actually going to happen at the program, we need a little bit more time to see how the Gardner Center evaluation goes. So this is like an interim, like let's assess what we've learned and share and give your recommendations on what you like, and then staff can continue to like project those and what that would look like.
Okay, that's all, because if I may, because I want to make sure, to your point, that we're working on not just evident, real as current, accurate, real-time evidence as possible. Because if we're like going to propose it 1 year out, that's 1 years of changes that can affect it.
and the Gardner will just finalize their next report, so they anticipate it'll be done by the end of this month. So,
Oh, nice.
I'll send it out.
Great.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, apologies. No, I'm just kind of stuck on Alan's point, the high utilization of a police officer. But I know Sergeant Kermey during his tour, he talked about like one person, like he used Narcanum like 4 times. But when we see the call summary, we don't see that.
Well, it's just numbers.
It's just a number.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious how, because that would be a good, like a ideal candidate for me, because it's someone, a particular peace officer is absolutely familiar with, and now he or she, excuse me, is going out to the same person for the same thing, and maybe it doesn't have to be a peace officer.
Yeah,
Maybe it could just be me. Yeah, they probably don't want to see a peace officer to begin with, right?
They don't want
exactly.
services, they don't want to be housed, they don't want to stop using,
Mhm.
they like.
They just
I
want to
just
keep
recently
doing what they're
learned-
doing.
I recently learned that, like,
Yeah.
just because someone's not
Yeah.
housed doesn't mean that they're miserable or like that they want to be housed. Like,
Mhm.
we think they want to be housed because they're home, because they're out in the street.
Right.
No, they're happy, like,
They're happy
okay.
doing it.
Different reasons. That's a fair point.
they're okay, they're okay with this, with that.
Until something else happens, until they have to like go to the hospital or until they get arrested.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got the climate for it. There's just, this
Yeah.
climate, the right climate.
Yeah, as soon as summer comes, we'll probably be seeing a lot more activity. You guys are usually busy in the summer because there's, yeah.
May I throw in a sort of like a double advocate comment? I know we're thinking about having licensed personnel there, partially because there's this assumption, right? When having, officers in, just it may present a certain type of condition. Or what perceptions do we assume or know when a person sees a clinician making an assessment on one's health? They're appearing, having that conversation. Some people have this aversion of saying there's a doctor that's going to evaluate me and label me as boom, boom, boom. I'm just saying that in general. And so what type of perceptions when you have a clinician there making an assessment on the person that could be on their record? What do we
Like not
know?
only do they have it, how do they respond to the authority of an officer, but also how do they respond to the authority of a clinician?
Or the clinician? Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, in my experience, we're definitely softer. I gotta say that much. I mean, we're not in uniform. We're in clothes like this. I look like this. I'm like a, short Asian female who's talking to somebody who's psychotic on some kind of speed or something like that, or meth. And it really is all about the engagement, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a doctor. There's things that we do need to wear that's important for safety for us. One being something that helps identify who we are, whether it's a badge or like a jacket or something showing that we're some kind of official, just because depending on certain neighborhoods, in San Francisco, it's more prominent, but out here in South San Francisco, I'm not too sure. But, there was a couple of times in San Francisco where if they didn't know who you are and you didn't look like an official, they shot at you. And this happened like over a course of 3 months that some of our staff members were shot at because people in the neighborhood didn't know who they were. But usually when somebody's in need, right? And I think we have to think about the nature of the call. Somebody's calling, somebody's needing help. So there's already like that resource that's there who cares enough about somebody else to be like, can you come help me? We're easier to identify because of that, because of a badge. And again, like I haven't had a lot of negative feedback as far as being a clinician and seeing somebody out into the field. Families love it when we show up. I know police love it, like law enforcement love it when we show up, whether, there's a crime happening or not, just having like somebody else to bounce ideas off if this person has some kind of mental health diagnosis. We're there to be like, don't say these words, you could use this, and
Right.
that's
And-
helpful.
And I appreciate where you're coming from
Yeah.
your perspective.
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking. I'm just posing a question.
yeah.
What do we understand from their perspectives when in those engagements or potential engagements? What do they, what's the stigma? Because in certain cultures, there's a stigma still,
Yeah,
right? Regardless if they're professional.
yeah,
I'm just saying, is this, I'm just saying the long play or, that audience, what do we know about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trained to help them, like we're trained like
Mhm.
years.
Yeah, and I get that. Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying from their perspectives, what do we understand? I'm just posing the question.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's more for people who aren't in the field right now. Like, how would you feel if somebody who's like a therapist came up to you and was just like,
Some people hesitate because it's somebody's assessing their mental condition that might be on record.
right,
It could affect their insurance, for example.
yeah,
I'm just, I don't have those conversations.
right,
And these are just regular people. I mean, regular people having tough days, right? Having
right,
dark moments.
yeah,
Now we're talking about a little bit more complicated stuff. I'm just curious. I don't know. I just kind of, as I'm hearing, I'm just tossing it out there.
yeah,
I think there was some intentionality with Mika's uniform to be non-threatening. She wears like khakis and a polo, and like
Mhm.
maybe a jacket.
and like yeah. I think she has, yeah, she has that
Yes.
thing.
Some sort of insignia.
Yeah, it's just, I think it says Starlist, yeah,
They all do.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely not threatening. Yeah.
yeah,
With the Promotorius program, they actually had these vests that were like a black vest put over, but people were like thinking that it would like people who would have an issue with them being undocumented, or they're
mhm,
really scared by those vests. So they had to stop using them
there we
for the
go.
polos instead.
But
yeah. The only negative feedback I've ever gotten as like a clinician seeing somebody was, I was seeing an elderly Filipino lady who was off their psych meds, and they didn't like how I was Filipino. Like they, in our culture, as a younger person, we never talk to the elders. So that's maybe happened twice in my 20-year career.
and not to be over philosophical here, but maybe that's another thing because maybe it's your culture. Here's a clinician, person of authority. How am I going to say something negative to that? It could be a cultural thing, right?
Right.
I'm just trying to see.
Right.
Could be potentially we might not be fully embracing yet.
Right. I mean, we're trained for that. You know what I mean? Like we know that when we know people don't want to see us, like that's the whole point. They don't want to see us.
Ultimately, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, they don't want to see us because they want to continue doing what they're doing. But people around them, find their behavior really concerning, possibly dangerous. And so you have to come, right? And so we can 5150. So if somebody doesn't want to see me, totally fine. But if I have enough, if I'm ever able to do like a flash mental status exam and determine that person is in fact a danger to themselves, others are gravely disabled, like we're trained to do that within 30 seconds, like pretty quick. I think you guys can do it pretty quick as well. And I don't need your permission. I don't need to care if you hate me or not. Like we need to get you the help. It's that imminent that I don't care about our relationship right now. I care more about your safety and the people and the safety of the people around you.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I didn't mean to digress, but if I can pull back to our intent, and this may be a little bit, I'm not saying a hesitancy, but also another point. We're just a few voices representing how many lives now of South City citizens. Before we present it to the council, does this make sense? Does it work well somehow to outreach to the community saying, hey, this is what we're doing? I mean, it's public, right? We're being aware. This is what we're doing. What do you think so far? Because we're going to make a proposal, recommendations based upon what we've done so far, put out and get more evidence from the community saying, are we on track? Are we representative of what we're having so far? Are we on track? I don't know.
Yeah, but one question I had was how many people in the community know about this program.
Yeah.
And yeah,
People are too busy, you know? They're like, just having a job alone is like,
Mhm.
some jobs are like super stressful, you know?
Mhm.
And how can we make us, the likes of us accessible, right? I think that's fundamental to our.
Well, we've been holding off on marketing the meetings just yet because we haven't finalized our what are they called again? Our bylaws. And we also haven't finalized the like the form or like
Complaint form.
for the
Yeah.
complaint form. We haven't finalized that. So I think, I think we had talked about that, doing that at the retreat, finalizing that. As long as we can finalize the complaint form, finalize our bylaws, then I think we can start marketing these meetings a little bit more so that the public, can come. I mean, the public can always come, but I think we just need to market it more so that, and maybe when we are marketing it, put it out there that, hey, we're looking for feedback about, expanding the program, so come to our meetings and give us feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely on the agenda for the retreat.
Yeah.
Talk about community
I'm
engagement.
gonna write that idea, I'm post it up.
Nice.
And Devin and I can talk about that a little bit too. What could that look like?
Yeah. I did want to talk about the diversity thing. I liked how Alameda County and SF, they're super diverse in terms of culture, language, practice. And I really, really like that. Of course, I know San Francisco very well, but yeah, I thought that was really important because when we did get the report from the Gardner Center, I think it was like half of the people we were seeing like spoke a different, or maybe more than half were speaking a different language. So I think that's like pretty important that that's something that we need to look at. Make sure whatever we're doing, it's multilingual or
Yeah.
yeah, whether it's like who we hire or
yeah.
some type of like training, something like that.
Yeah.
Because it would be hard with like, because it'll be a small team to like, but yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
consideration. Yeah.
But
For hiring
you have access to the language line already, right? Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Taking like cultural competency as well.
Yeah.
AT&T or something else.
It was in Half Moon Bay. You mentioned cultural competency. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Other post-its people put up that you want to share?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, what you're seeing and sensing so far, thoughts?
So I'm observing quietly on purpose. I'm
drawing you in over.
purposefully not jumping in the conversation. Truth be told, I'm trying to fill in a lot of blanks, as far as what's going on. It sounds like there has been engagement with these 4 cities in trying to observe their alternative emergency response. And so, and just in looking at the minutes from I guess the last meeting, there's just a lot that I need to catch myself up on. So, yeah, it's hard. It's at this point, it's really hard to comment. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I hesitate jumping in quite yet. But
Yeah, we're meeting Thursday.
We-
Definitely, yeah, we'll pass.
there are questions written down here that me and Hank are going to touch on for sure. And I am just kind of I'm adding a couple notes just for my own personal research. It sounds like I guess Half Moon Bay's response is the standard. Our part of a standard, which it sounds like everybody would be on board for. So I mean, a lot of it is just going to be me just kind of like backfilling, but I think Amy's going to kind of fill me in on things that I would need to know. Yes, finalizing bylaws is a good idea. I didn't realize, so I didn't know we don't have that. So that for sure is something we would want to, I guess, make more concrete. I would assume that there's a start, right?
There's a start.
So-
We started at our early meetings and I think I just felt like we
It
did
got
more time.
sidetracked.
Yeah.
I must admit, I didn't fully realize myself.
Yeah, but I mean,
that got just a little history and background. If you go through the minutes, that got sidetracked by a former commissioner and it just got really down in the weeds.
Oh,
And then,
so before
we
Salvador.
kind of had to pull ourselves out of that and that person obviously left.
mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, I gave the general, she had good thoughts. It just, she was taking the meeting down a path that we didn't feel was beneficial
Mhm.
to the goal or,
Yeah, I mean, I've never, it sounds like an experience, right? And so it's something that was started, I mean, how long ago were we talking? Like a year ago or?
Last summer.
no, yeah.
So going on, yeah.
Come on.
I mean, it'll be an experience just to kind of jump in midway through and see it, come to fruition. So, no. But in terms of, you did bring up like community engagement, and that is an important piece, but I agree with the rationale for hesitancy. Before we reach out, let's make priorities, bylaws, if it sounds like there's going to be some type of potential forum where the community can address their concerns, at which I would imagine is going to be a topic of conversation for, whatever the next meeting might be. So even that is something that would need to be something that we can put out to the public with some confidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I said, myself and Amy are going to meet. And so I am a little anxious just to kind of hear a little bit more about like how we envision the upcoming retreat, whenever that's going to be.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll get to that stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's good that you guys are kind of getting your bearings as a commission a little bit more, I think comfortable with each other, comfortable with the format. So I definitely feel like there's been like growth and you will be able to open it up, the meetings to the public more.
Yeah. And if there's maybe you can help with this, Devin. If there's like an event that's coming up, maybe we could table and we can really ask that, introduce, us as commissioners and has Mika had a debut into the community yet? Okay. Maybe we could do something like that, something joint or something. Yeah, something joint. And then maybe that could be something that we could get feedback from.
Like how, what kind of we gonna
I don't know. That's what I was gonna ask Devin. Devin's the party kind of South Africa.
All the time. The event season picks up in the summer.
Yeah.
The park, or no, what do you call it?
Concert, which is in the fall, but we just did an Easter event a couple weeks ago. Movies are going to start in July, and so right now it's a relatively slow period in terms of traditional events. I do know that I believe in June we just confirmed. I believe it's confirmed that there'll be a senior health fair. So when you think about events, there's always a focus for each individual event, but for most commissions, and this is no different, at least the P&R department is always open to a table. So there was Hatch Realty had a table at the Easter event. It's a realtor, you know what I mean? But here they had a table for an Easter event. Now, of course, they were a sponsor, and you get the irony. They're called Hatch Realty at the Easter egg event. So, but yeah, it's always going to be, as a commission sponsored by the city, sponsorship's not needed. Right. So,
We're starting farmers markets up again.
Oh, the farmers market is doing- Oh, nice.
it's coming back this year.
There's city tables for that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, in the past, the recreation department had always had a table at the farmer's market. And so, yeah.
Library has events.
Not that you need to be at the farmer's market every Saturday, but those are types of things that are always, they're always on the table.
Yeah.
But it behooves the group though, just to have bylaws.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
even like website or webpage development, just kind of have those kind of links already there. Because what you'll find for most of these events are people are constantly moving. And if you're at a table, you can have 20 flyers on your table, but really what people are looking for is just the QR code.
Yeah.
So if it's something where they could kind of come by, oh, what commission is this? Okay, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Scan the QR and that takes you straight to the website.
Yeah.
Any additional information they need after that, they've got.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if we could do that with the complaint form, just make it a Google Doc that they could QR code in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
yeah. So if you're thinking like, how I hate the word complaint, but I mean, you just basically want to hear back from the community, right?
Feedback, maybe,
Um,
that's a fair point. There's a lot of the phrasing.
That can be correct. It can be a QR code that can lead straight to an email.
Mhm.
And so an email can be created for this, for the commission, just to hear back. The rec department has it all the time. Keep in mind, as soon as you put yourself out to the community,
Yeah.
The exchange, the
Well,
triage.
those, I forget your name, I'm sorry. Salvador. Salvador mentioned, a lot of people work, a lot of people are busy, they're dealing with their families and like all these other things. And so a lot of the times, who you're going to hear from are people with time on their hands. And so, you want to take all feedback seriously.
I think the complaints here were pretty serious. We submit a complaint, like it goes to HR and the person is like looked into. So,
Complaints is for
It's like police complaints.
yeah,
specific about police complaints, though. Is that
it is police, but it's also people can bring forth a complaint about any city employee.
Mhm.
And to the point though, what would be our triage system too? And when it comes to incoming, how do we handle and, what's that process?
Yeah, I think we kind of hear it in a public space,
Mhm.
but we can't do the investigation. It goes to HR and HR investigates.
As long as we know the lines and be expedient to that, because, I think.
Do we see those at all? So it goes straight to HR and then is it filtered then from HR? Does it bounce?
They can,
at some
people
point?
can bring the complaint to the commission and the commission passes it on to HR to do the
So it
investigation.
comes to the commission first before HR.
Yep, it's like an alternate channel. Like right now you can go down to PD and say, hey, such and such officer did such and such. But some people aren't comfortable going to the PD, so they can come here
Right.
instead. That was a major purpose of it.
And are those received?
We
Complaints?
haven't gotten any complaints yet.
But are they like, well, I guess, okay. Theoretically, if we were to receive one, is that via email or is that via?
They can they can come to a meeting. But we have the materials drafted. We can finalize at the retreat too. We put that on the agenda for that. We've been waiting for you to come on board before doing
Yeah.
that whole process. Yeah.
Okay. Have we not received complaints because there's no process yet? Is
I
that the
don't think
reason
it's been
why?
communicated well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully we don't get a ton. It's a serious thing for someone to
It'd
bring.
be nice, yeah. I mean, not to get too far ahead of this, and I'm sure this is what the retreat is for. Positive and negative feedback is always valid and helpful. And so, yes, we want to hear about complaints, but I would also imagine we'd also like to hear about something that is working for the community as
That'd be
well.
great,
But it'd
yeah.
be nice if it's the same outlet. So
Yeah.
it's not like email for complaints here and email for, positive feedback. It'd be nice if it's one.
Yeah.
One
I think the
method.
form says positive feedback encouraged. But in reality,
Like we
probably
hear both,
people are
right?
mostly gonna do the negative. So I think we'd have to do some effort to communicate. We want to hear the positive too.
Mhm.
Good suggestion. Yeah. Yep, and we should talk about the website. There is stuff on there now. But like the agenda template just changed. We had like all this translation information. We can translate if someone wants to get translation, either live interpretation or of the agenda. We had to change the staff report agenda template. So I'm hoping to chat about that stuff with you.
For sure.
And just a quick comment to that, the website, yeah, I mean, that part of the Marcom, right, the marketing communications alignment. There's a reference to the prior group, I forget what.
Racial
Yeah, thank you. And then there's so they're both kind of residing, and it's kind of confusing even for me where to go to what. So.
All right.
Sounds good. I had two questions for you guys on all the feedback. One is we kind of talked about like youth issues, elder issues, substance use, homelessness. Is there any further detail you guys have on that, on like what you recommend to look into regarding those areas?
Can you say those again?
Youth issues,
Youth, elder.
substance use,
Okay,
homelessness.
okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure substance was on there.
I guess my direct response will be indirect, meaning it depends on what the evidence speaks for us to what do we need to pay attention to. Those I think are good starters, are common familiar starters, but what the activities, where are they coming from?
So there's other models in the cities, yeah, like, for example, the RVs, like there's an RV park. Models that like, they have a space, a safe space for them, and then they have like a restroom, for example, is in Redwood City. They're gonna have the opening tomorrow, the navigation center behind the Redwood City Police Department. It's east of 101, right there next to the new trail. And what I saw there was an RV space, and then instead of them moving around or like, stuff like those services, like I think we're still kind of where we are behind as well. Like as far as like unsheltered homelessness population, like you might not think that they're out there. They are out there. Like if you go down to St. Vincent at the Paul, you'll see a line of people getting food every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They're underneath the bridges. I mean, it's tough to live here in the city homeless. I've met women that have been chronically homeless. They recently passed from fentanyl during the pandemic. A lot of people passed. So it's still in that area. I feel like, the youth, I think, with the high schools and like seeing what they're providing for the youth and like all of these other resources, the Boys and Girls Club, everything else, it seems like we're going in the right direction. And then the youth, they all look like, happy from what I see when they're out of school, walking around, we're making progress, but the homeless are kind of being left behind. And there's all ages, I'm not saying that some of them are transients, they're just leaking in from the city or from South County. But we are kind of, we don't even give them food. I think it's St. Vincent de Paul. I'm not sure if we help St. Vincent de Paul or not. Or like how that works. I know Life Moves is there, and Life Moves, and then the county is also helping with CalFresh food stamps, food benefits.
Yeah, I think you're emphasizing like the youth, the homeless. I think those are fair category. That at least starter. We can.
Have you heard of the homeless outreach team?
Homeless is.
Like partners, Life Moves, YMCA, Samaritan House with the downtown bike patrol officers. And who else is involved in that?
I mean, there's like the town, same as a kind of red assessment team that's involved. I think even Star Vista has a piece of that as
Mhm,
well.
mhm.
Because I think,
You know, we
yeah,
have Safe Harbor in South Francisco as well, to the homeless facility that has over 100 beds.
Beds? Wow.
so they even take the bus over here. Like they, Samtrans has a stop right in front of there. And they go over here and they got
They kick them out
their.
during the day,
Yeah.
8 a.m. All they'll have to leave, and then that's when they come to the downtown area and get the food from St. Vincent de Paul.
Mm.
It's as long as I've worked here for 25 years, that's kind of like the.
Like, yeah.
And you see them walking there on airport, like, you know, I see them like with their stuff walking back or this way. Or,
You think it works for them to work with that team, homeless outreach team?
yeah. Yeah. I know the mobile,
Like a mobile clinician program where.
yeah, the one that,
Medical.
yeah, I know they stopped there now too, the Samaritan House. I mean, Safe Harbor. One day a week.
Did you have something you want to say?
Oh, I was just thinking, we need a resource hub.
Mhm.
There's like so many resources, like some of us know a little bit, some of us don't know anything. And so I think we need like a resource hub, like I can't even imagine, like, yeah, I don't know, does South San Francisco already have that?
Yeah, we have like a few pages, like a social services page. Like a diversity page, that has a bunch of stuff.
Is there something where like, is there like a 411 for South San Francisco where they could find out what resources are? Is someone saying about it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the social services pages, childcare and youth programs, employment job services, food assistance. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff there, but it's not really like well known.
Yeah.
And then and the question is how well utilized is that?
Yeah. There's this thing in San Francisco that we have. It's like these sheets that, like all the providers kind of carry around. I'm sure like homeless outreach team would carry something like that too, but it's like free eats, free medical, free shelters. And it's just easy to pass out and find versus like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to assume that everybody who's unhoused has like a cell phone and access to like being able to click on a computer where they could get resources, but if it's even printed and up on like buses or something like that, I think San Francisco used to do that at one point.
Such details. I mean, here we are, we situate, we got, we figure out, we hone in, all that, then to help with the marketing communication. What's that connect? Who's going to help be the channel to South City and us? I mean, is somebody going to build a website here? That's what I'm saying. Like, is somebody
For what?
Yeah, who's going to help? Who's going to do the marketing, Marcom?
Of the clinician program?
Well, I'm saying this group, what we do, what we communicate. I mean, yeah, I'm
I
unclear.
think that's us.
Oh,
Yeah, like, I mean, if we're tabling, then that would be us or
the website.
Kevin and Mary Jo.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can,
I wasn't clear.
we can spread through the networks. Other commissions can have an item to talk about it. We could give information to the promotores that go out in the community and connect people
Okay.
with resources. We can definitely use our networks. It's just like a conversation about what you guys would like to do. And we should also talk about staff, like how staff can support you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sorry, it's my stomach.
Okay.
Why don't we take a break? You guys okay with like a 5-minute break or something? Maybe we can organize these, just kind of like see if there's any themes, any repeats. You guys okay with that?
I'm okay.
Do you guys want a break?
I'm okay with roll, but if somebody would want to
rolling.
take a break.
Yeah, let's just take a break just in case people need a bio break or something. Is that okay?
I'm okay with
Is
that.
everybody okay with that? Okay, cool. All right. And we can look.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. Thank you, Alan.
Need to be reimbursed.
I'm a stand at BART.
Oh,
Over the ground, mom.
man, I haven't handled it in a long time, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just satiated, a yearning, everything yearning.
You haven't had Thin Mints in a while?
Oh, man, long time. Those are,
I get them every chance I get.
how much are they for now?
6 now. They used to be 5. But I don't know how much they're used for.
And the texture, that's right, that's like Christmas. Oh,
Thin Mints.
yeah.
Where'd you go? Was it you got them at a
At a bar station.
bar station? Yeah. No, I'm good.
You good?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Actually coming from a
Oh, hey, thank you.
East task force meeting in Walnut Creek, which gave us too much crackers and salami. Cheese and they brought out a cake. It's a bunch of senior citizens and
Wow.
wine. I mean, I just wasn't gonna go. But
Was that?
I didn't have a glass. I gotta go. That's what you guys.
Oh, that's fun.
Like your junk foods.
So are you doing like a hard switch or you got, oh, is this your vacation? That's your breather break.
Even so officially, I'll start on Friday.
Oh, 2 Fridays, basically.
2 Fridays, but I would imagine it's gonna be split. There's a number of like grants, initiatives, programs, hires that I'm currently overseeing.
Oh, you got a staff? You have a staff?
Oh, yeah, I supervise like 50 people.
Well, I mean, current role, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking your new role, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, I can't imagine. I don't think I'm supervising anybody, which sounds amazing. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, no, it'll, huh?
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So nothing has gone out yet. I was gonna tell you. Yeah, nothing.
Hush.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure me and Leslie we'll touch base, but officially it'll be on Friday though. And so I think it's like I said, I was out last week, but believe the Friday before that I gave him verbal and then officially signed it at some point last week. I was in a hotel. And then but it's exciting to say the least, next steps and what happens next and all that. So but but currently though, with rec, we're about to switch buildings in a couple months. I'm on the team, I'm on a couple subcommittees there to integrate library programming and online reservations for them as well as the rec department. We just started the movie night, planning for the movie night series, which is
What's the first one?
well,
The real important question.
the movies aren't selected yet, but the service agreement is made with our vendor. And the next step is actually obtaining a permit. The second one is always at
The game?
it's as of late, it's been at elementary school. There will probably be again this year too. But getting told for that.
When I
Ballet, so
when I
That's cool.
worked out, it was like
You get the high school.
watch like Curry.
this year, the spring is gonna be at El Camino. They always do a nutcracker over at South City.
Yeah.
They want
Yeah. Yeah, you have to go.
This past time, and then person.
Ever. And this guy one.
Yeah.
They take it as like.
Yeah, I saw Nutcracker one time. I think it was a championship. Yeah.
I was just like, what is,
And,
that was galactic king, man. I used to remember that.
That was in
I watched the Warriors during,
and
they were like last place, right? Like, just the
yeah, I
Warriors.
don't go to the. So yeah. You understanding? First, you know what I mean? Are they? What is it? Probably 20 years. Running around tackling people like. So I mean, there's that. In December. Didn't know what was going on.
But they're just not used to it was warm nights. People were just like pouring in.
That Maria
Yeah. Once a game, attend the game, get ready.
We've been doing this.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
What's the name?
downtown, all right.
to see the amount of
First time there, yeah.
Because it used to be,
these are
I know it as Arco, they used to be out like in that Tonys area.
known in the West. We can go
Area in Sacramento. It used to be way out there. That's still over there. They did just the city, it used to be like right there downtown.
in the Brentwood neighborhood. I don't know if they're still there. They
One of my colleagues. is-
private dance company. These guys
They said-
to
It doesn't tell us what the needs of right.
have this lighting. Have like what Maria does with,
Like,
There's a-
and like.
you know.
We were there for
Really
lobby.
could
Lobby.
be like
I was actually kind of blown away.
in place.
So this is
Services.
it's
Like, that's cool. It's all.
pretty exciting, but
I know.
so much work goes and like I rented like the full on
The exchange
I mean-
information. He's like, yeah.
moving truck from Davis.
Yeah.
Like the larger one is like a 5-bed. They build
think that'll be.
build the truck.
Yeah.
So like all their supplies located
I'm sorry, like you were sharing.
Orange Park.
Good thing, yeah.
Our studios. And it's in this case. So they have, they'll get that coffee. We talked about it then. Their costumes and stuff. It's bigger than, it's actually bigger than. Like door.
Yeah.
Or they go back and then it turns off and then it's a lot of supplies. They
Even if I.
He's got this.
9 a.m. In December. They need to.
Yeah. I think it would. There's
It all then.
all Wednesdays.
Wind, rain.
Like, are those medical, like, yeah, like many of those calls are actually behavioral health calls
Off the truck, filled it up,
or medical calls.
moved it over, over across the street to South City, unloaded everything. And then,
Oh, okay.
that's just the unload. And then on Monday, they come back and they actually start like that up. So it takes all week. So they're doing that.
Right.
Like. I don't usually think they were able to get in until like. And they're still doing so they just insane amount of work that comes with. That's just.
Shows.
Right? All right. And as soon as there's a Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and then a Sunday night show. As soon as that's pack everything.
Not even like a little, hey,
Hey, let's go get a drink. No.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to eat now.
and move.
Like an hour.
Break even? Do they do?
Oh, yeah. It's more or less a fundraiser. They're cost covered for sure.
Oh,
And they're raising funds. Like costume improvement with that increase. And so, yeah.
Morning.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely.
As far as like
But it's
hours.
$10 show.
Yeah.
It's a $10 show.
Like-
No, yeah, they're still above. So they usually have like some small bikes and they're selling, raffle tickets for baskets.
During the day.
If you've got any children who are interested,
I probably do the wrong.
ballet,
If anything,
I would actually,
it could.
I would, Mike,
They say not to do that.
Staffing
I think the program you mean.
and then.
I recommend it, yeah.
It is now, right?
Outstanding, but I live in Daly City. My daughter goes to school in San Francisco.
Yeah,
And so to get her to come over here for,
There's way-
typically it's just too hard, but I would put her, good.
Because
I was gonna ask you, but no, you live in DC, so I assume private school.
you have to like,
Oh, yeah, in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But my son might come.
like link them to
Only 4. So we have,
during those
'Cause
times.
I went to high school in San Francisco, but when you say, oh, wait a minute, you're in Daly City, so you.
Right, because it's not an emergency or
yeah. Where'd you go to school?
sponsor.
Wallenberg?
Maybe they need
It's familiar.
line.
That's private,
like-
right?
No, it isn't.
What is
Yeah, that's a usually comes.
Wallenberg? Maybe I'm thinking Waldorf.
Put over the phone,
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Right, that's private.
which.
Yeah. Wallenberg, well, basically, are you familiar with Lowell?
Maybe.
When it first came on this Wallenberg, as it was placed in Lowell Rejects. It was like,
Or,
no, it's a alternative high school.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you had the entrance exam.
Yeah.
You had-
Without,
Yeah.
it warrant the
Wallenberg, basically,
right,
how you get in is by lottery.
yeah.
Is it still in existence?
Yes, it is.
Trying that.
Yeah, it's basically, it's named after Raoul
Yeah.
Wallenberg,
Bring back in?
who
Yeah.
helped a lot of people during, the
Yeah, I think so too.
the
But let's just
basically.
go over like the.
Then when you
so
put
it was,
lottery
like,
in-
logistics, which includes
The trick is you have to keep the
staffing.
performance standards high. You have to leave.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. What was it? It was just.
Yeah, it's on Geary and Masonic, if you know the city much.
Yeah, you're in third.
Oh, yeah. It's called, I'm not sure how long.
Okay, cool.
You know, the old, Target is, old Sears, as they call it, it's right behind. Like, there's a elementary school.
Yeah.
It used to be an elementary school.
That was Target in there, and our Trader Joe's across the street. That's where we were going to.
Yes,
Yeah,
Vega.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then that would help,
That's that little.
Yeah.
Well, it's.
but that looks like, I don't.
It's advised.
How many people?
Okay.
When you're graduating.
Okay. So
50.
So let's bring it back in. We only have like a few more minutes. So we just kind of like looked over everything and we found some themes from everybody's Post-its. So I
Okay.
just want to make sure that we're all in agreement of these themes. One of them being logistics, which talks about the staffing and whether this is going to be like a co-response thing with law enforcement or not, or what that would look like. Also like relationships with other cities or other agencies, what that can look like, right? That includes like budget as well. Let me put that. So budget and other agencies. Okay, perfect. And then the next one that we found was training. So somebody had put like stuff about like CIT being culturally, what was it? Yeah, cultural competency, being able to like de-escalate. Yeah. And being, well, I think the multidisciplinary is probably staffing. So that's. Yeah, so like so basically like the training, right? So whether this is like a peer, whether, they know information on substance use, housing, stuff like that. And then access. So how this program could be accessible. That had to do with like time, right? Like phone numbers,
Yeah,
whatnot.
in person or call, yeah.
Right. And then as well as resources too, like access to those resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different or similar to logistics?
From logistics.
Yeah.
Because I feel like logistics is more of like what the program actually looks like, right? Like how it's going to run on a day-to-day, right? Which includes like the staffing thing, like what kind of calls will warrant a co-response versus just the mental health clinicians or behavioral health going. And again, budget and I can't read my handwriting now, but other something.
Like me.
Yeah, I just wrote it, but something. But I mean, does that seem like everything that everybody had written can fall in between those three themes?
Well, I like what you and Amy did. You scanned the boards and looked for commonalities, and then you were able to narrow it down to these 4 or 5
Things, yeah,
talking points.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because then I feel like then these are the areas of focus that we can really work on. We can find the data for this and compare it, make sure that the data actually reflects what the needs are, right? At least just a starting point, because I feel like.
Is this where the staff I'm sorry, is this where the staff, we would lean on staff to do more research?
Yeah.
Got
These
it.
are the things we like. Can you go research?
Got
that?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because I feel like right now, today, what we were doing was like very general. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, where do we all throw the dart?
It is,
Yeah. And it just seems like these are the main things that had repeatedly come up.
That's cool. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And actually, just curious, as you're scanning all of that, was there maybe, and sort of an outlier sort that you saw that like, wow, that's really intriguing, but it was, I mean, it wasn't like a part of a common theme, it was just something like, oh, that's something like, wow. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Something that didn't fit in one of your buckets.
Yeah,
But it is like, wow.
yeah,
that's
there
super.
was one for Berkeley, similar staffing state. What does that mean? That's one that stood out, but I kind of don't know where that goes.
Wrote down?
Similar staffing state,
I didn't.
because I used to.
Let's look at the right.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well,
I saw staffing, so I was like, okay, I think that goes
Oh, I
into
see.
logistics.
Let's go back. Maybe.
I think I talked about the shift
Was it shifts or was it like?
coverage.
Hey, keep on going.
That sound good?
Yeah.
keep talking, it's
I
coming.
think the impression that I had was like that it would be that the staff would reflect the public or would reflect.
Oh, I think, no, I think,
I don't
no,
know.
sorry. For some reason I added note, 2 clinicians. So is there similar, maybe because maybe it's a similar model we were considering? I don't know why. Help
Maybe
out.
like the size of the.
Yeah,
staff and the
yeah.
size of the city. or
I
something like that.
think that's what I think that's where I was going with.
Okay,
I was like, oh, there's a similarity there that, we can just play off of, or that I think we could really lean on. So maybe something.
You did, man, yes. You were talking about that in the, actually, I remember you talking about that.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steven, did we get all your post-its in the right place? Because some of them fell down.
Oh, they're just,
This for Berkeley and this is for Huffman Bay.
oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh. I think you got those right.
cool.
All right. Well, we will type these up. I think Crystal will update the slides for your review,
Yes.
and we can continue working on your presentation.
No more writing till you get this done, huh?
Oh,
Did you get your bike back?
I did.
Oh, I
I
am-
back, yeah.
I apologize, I'm way off subject. My apologies to you and the public. My bad.
It's very, very fun. Yeah, go for it.
And we'll get ready for that stuff for the retreat, the complaint form, the
Bylaw.
community process, the bylaws.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cool.
get all that stuff together on the website.
So what's, just curious, what's that process of designing the retreat agenda? What's that look like?
We asked at a previous meeting what people wanted to talk about. So I think we took some notes there, and then there's just those like things that have been on hold that just, we talked about doing like a visioning retreat kind of thing.
Mhm.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add to the agenda?
I'm just curious.
Okay.
Thank you.
Speaking of the retreat, so it sounds like we're searching for a date, which leads me to believe that we don't have a location either
Well, no, not yet.
Okay.
Probably here.
with here in the office.
Yeah, City Hall,
Mm.
conference room, all on the weekend, 2 to 3 hours. I think people said we'll provide food.
Mm. Is there any way to do it like over at Orange Park and Mac?
Just depends on the date and availability.
Yeah, because people usually rent out that center there, park that.
Furnicky?
Yeah,
Yeah, so if we're talking about a Saturday, it's probably booked.
okay.
So Furnickys is the most sought facility
Right.
that the city has. But there's several different rooms within the municipal services building. But I mean, it just kind of depends on what are the goals of the retreat. And so if this is the same, if we're looking for this environment, it's available. If we're looking to change the environment, it just depends on availability.
Yeah.
And to the point, what's the purpose, right? And I like the usage of these kind of board things. I don't know if we can, I don't know if those are the right boards or there's a facility that has wider boards, more boards. Yeah. For us to move around.
Yeah.
And not shoot.
And definitely get comfortable. I feel like if we're talking like half a day,
Yeah, like 3 hours max.
3 hours max. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Send an email if you guys think of anything else.
Just, I guess, I mentioned it before, I think at least of some reference to the, like how you mentioned, like goals, what are our goals? And also strategically how it links up for the likes of the general plan, things like that. I think
Mhm.
making sure that
Mhm.
every other stakeholder group understands we're all aligned for a reason.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll put that on the agenda.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else from anybody? Comments, concerns? How you doing? No?
I think it might be good to either at the retreat or maybe at a future meeting to just talk about what we're going to do next. If there's any other issues
Mhm.
or things that we want to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've thought a lot about is just, I guess, policing in youth, policing and I don't know quite how to frame it, but policing in Old Town. There was during the pandemic, there was a concern about police in our schools, police approach to at-risk youth or gang violence and stuff like that. I think that could be an interesting thing for us to look at, both current practices and historically as well.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Cool. There was one thing I kind of wanted to bring up to, or do I wait? Do we find out and talk to Sharon if that's even around?
The, what's that?
Dedication?
Yeah, yep.
We'll wait.
Well, yeah, we'll talk to Sharon. You
Okay,
can
cool.
mention- You can mention it though, if you
Can I
want. I
mention it?
think we have items from commission.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm from Commissioners. One thing that I was like thinking about doing, that I had asked Amy, one of my coworkers died today in the field, and I wanted to like dedicate one of our meetings to them because they're like huge in this field. But maybe moving forward, if there's like a meeting you want to dedicate to somebody, just kind of like acknowledging them and their hard work in the community and stuff. If you guys want to start doing that with some of our meetings, if you guys.
I don't object. I mean, I'm sorry for you.
I'm good. But yeah, but I think we're gonna check with Sharon, see if that's even something we can do. I know city council does it. But moving forward, if that's something that, if we're allowed to, maybe we could do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like this
just have-
dedicated in memory of.
Yeah, just have like
Absolutely, yeah.
intention about, people
Yeah,
who do a
brings
lot of hard work.
awareness.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Yeah.
So dedication, just in general.
Yeah, just,
Dedicate the meeting.
yeah.
Dedicate the meeting.
Yeah,
I think that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we would have to do it every meeting.
yeah, no, not every meeting,
At-
but
at
if it comes
the-
up or
like this.
just open it up. Cause like, again, we're talking about community work and there's people out here who do community work already. There's a lot of unsung heroes that do this community work.
I was gonna say, I think there's plenty to almost do it every single meeting. We only meet 12 times a year, right?
Yeah,
And then I think I was reading something, there's some volunteer recognition coming up that somehow there's gonna be some recognition that goes into a pool and Biden
I think they already did it.
already did it.
Yeah, but you're referring to the gala?
I think so.
For citywide event for volunteers who have done a certain amount of hours.
Yeah, like, and then they go into some kind of potential thing with the president recognition.
It's a presidential award. Yes, that was provided to, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that it was like an insane amount of like volunteer hours.
Yeah.
But there's different levels though too. So like there's different tiers. So if you're like 18 or younger, I think, they were looking at like if you volunteered 50 or 60, maybe 70 hours for the year, you qualified for that. But then as an adult, there was like 100 hours, maybe 500 hours. Then I think like there's
800.
there was like,
I think the absolute maximum for the presidential service award was $4,000 or $4,000, 4,000 hours. But that was like a accumulation of all the hours that you worked as an adult.
Oh, I was gonna say, what,
Right.
I mean, not a year, that's.
yeah. So we're talking about like 20 years. Like you must be volunteering for decades.
Yeah.
And not like here or there. It's
Yeah.
consistent volunteer efforts.
Yeah.
For at least 2 decades.
Yeah, I know this maybe is a captured audience, but I mean, they're dedicated for a reason to the city. So they could be a very interesting resource to just soundboard off.
Yeah,
And I mean, not only just to recognize if there's somebody, but also, I mean,
yeah,
they feel so passionate about the city for something. I think that might be a good group just to
yeah.
listen with.
Okay.
I wonder if that's cool, if they're like, if we, intentionally dedicate a meeting to them and they're alive, why don't we invite them to come and talk about their work with South San Francisco and, like, have them like give us their input about what they see out there. Like, and that's like one way of getting the community involved, and
Mhm.
they'll feel good and heard that, South San Francisco really cares, like values their opinion
Mhm.
as
Yeah,
volunteers.
that's a cool idea. Yeah.
They were recently awarded at the volunteers night dinner.
Yeah, the
Yeah, that's what
gala.
they're talking about. Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5 of them that got their award,
Yeah.
that's some award, yeah, I don't remember.
It's really cool.
Yeah, we can agendize like future topics too.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Anything else? I'll just make sure where we're at. Yeah, items from board members, commissioners, committee members. Anything else? All right, then I think we could adjourn.
Okay.
Cool, all right. Good meeting, you guys, yeah. Nice, yeah. Well, do I owe you a phone call back? I think they do.
You know what, at this point.